A badger, a fire, and one dumb mistake. Somehow, that's how tattoo culture was born. The tribe of Tumbaguk lived in a sun-blasted valley beneath the Great Rock, where the heat was so unforgiving that even lizards avoided direct sunlight, and the elders' bald heads shimmered under layers of squirrel pelts. Life was raw, survival was simple, and nobody had ever heard of style. Everyone dressed in animal hides of various shades of dirt and stink, with uniqueness measured strictly by the number of tooth marks. But then came Grr, not particularly smart, nor particularly useful, but destined to accidentally revolutionize prehistoric fashion. It happened one sweltering afternoon when Grr, determined to retrieve his roasted lunch, a particularly fat badger, forgot a basic rule of fire. It burns. He grabbed the half-charred leg straight out of the flames and instantly scorched his forearm. Yelping in pain and rage at the badger, he stumbled toward the mud pit, the tribe's universal cure for everything from burns to broken hearts, and slapped a glob of cold clay on the wound. Ordinarily, that would have been the end of the story. But that day, a curious child, armed with a pointy stick and a vivid imagination, started scratching shapes into the drying mud on Grur's arm. He drew what resembled a snake or a worm, depending on your optimism, and wandered off. Grur didn't notice until 3 days later when the mud flaked off, revealing a pink scar perfectly shaped like a winding serpent. The tribe stared. Some gasped. Others bowed. A few immediately started debating whether the mark was a sacred sign from the sky lizard or just a lucky burn. Regardless, it was cool. Suddenly, Grur wasn't just the idiot who burned himself trying to eat badger legs raw. He was the marked one. People began copying him, first cautiously, then obsessively. They scorched themselves with embers, smeared the burns with mud, and let the tribe's children scratch random symbols into the clay. Spirals, claws, suns, even something suspiciously resembling a pine cone, all permanently embedded into flesh as the scars healed. Soon, even the chief demanded his own burn mark. He was given a majestic eagle across his back, though it later healed into what looked more like an upside-down duck. No one said a word. The new trend swept through the valley like a wildfire, ironically. People lit ceremonial fires just to brand themselves, turning every evening into a festival of smoke, yelping, and mud. One enthusiastic teenager tried to tattoo his entire chest with the constellation of the Great Bear. He passed out by the 5th star. Then came the fashion parade, or what passed for one in prehistoric society. Under torchlight, tribespeople took turns showing off their scars, arms raised, torsos bare, each displaying abstract hieroglyphics of pain. The drummers pounded logs with bones, and the crowd howled in admiration. News of the burn art reached neighboring tribes. Visitors came to gawk, take notes in dirt, and inevitably try it themselves. An informal ranking emerged. The most scars meant the most respect. A man with 2 full sleeves of healed symbols was declared chief of style. A woman with the garnelled depiction of a 3-headed elk across her back was dubbed Tattoo Oracle. No one quite knew what her mark meant, but it looked painful enough to command spiritual authority. Unfortunately, as with every trend, some took it too far. A few ambitious trendsetters began throwing themselves into the fire entirely to get full-body designs. One tried branding his face with the mammoth skull and ended up inventing the first horror story. A jealous rival attempted to one-up him by burning his tongue into a spiral and lost the ability to speak, which, according to his wife, was the only improvement he ever made. One elder, eager to participate but a little senile, accidentally used fermented dung instead of clay. His scar turned green. People called it avant-garde. Eventually, the tribe's high shaman realized things were getting out of hand, especially when 3 hunters skipped an actual hunt to focus on their aesthetic. He declared that the spirits had changed their preferences. They now favored singing and slow spinning around a pine cone, instead of burns. The tribe, reluctantly, laid down their sticks and embers. The trend faded, replaced by chants and interpretive dances involving rocks and strong eye contact. But Grur, with his original accidental snake scar, remained a legend. Elders whispered of his arm, children tried to imitate it by drawing worms on themselves with charcoal, and every now and then someone would glance at the fire, wonder what if, and quickly change their mind. As for Grur, he never quite understood what all the fuss was about. He just kept hunting badgers, with tongs this time, and scratching his shoulder absent-mindedly. He never sought attention. He just forgot that embers are hot. But history, as usual, gave him a title far grander than he deserved: the father of prehistoric fashion.